everybody.
You guys do the things. I'll be right back.
Welcome to our Tuesday Live. May you enjoy our lies.
Yes. And we're still on controversial coaching. But before we get into that, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment in YouTube and Facebook land. We will be monitoring the comments, and we will answer your questions or go off on random tangents that you guys want to go off. We'll do whatever you want. Brooke's not here to stop me.
Yeah, but we can stop you too.
No, not anymore. Oh, Brooke's back.
The fun is over.
I heard it.
Rats. So last week we talked about controversial topic when clients who cry wolf, form of lying. Now we're going to turn the seat over to the coach. When is it okay for us to lie as coaches?
Maybe.
Is it ever okay to lie?
Well, Anthony, you do it almost every week.
I do.
You
I
do.
lie constantly.
True.
I lie, I deceive, I omit information that will benefit me. I do it constantly. I can't tell what's true anymore. But in a general sense, let's take coaching out of the mix right now. Is it ever okay to lie? From a moral perspective.
Yes.
Yes. And that, saying the yes, everyone think about what that possibility could be versus I'm just going to tell a big fat lie. What are those possibilities?
I can say that growing up in a house full of girls, it was to my benefit to lie sometimes, especially when they want to ask what their outfit looks like or something like that. And
no, you don't.
I wouldn't say, hold up.
That.
I wouldn't say that, I in my mind.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to yell at you. You know that. We're going to yell at you for your sisters. Because you have an abundance of them.
To spare their feelings, it wouldn't always be that it's a bad outfit. It'd just be maybe a scenario where I'm just like, I honestly don't know what a good outfit looks like, so I'm just going to say it looks good. And honestly, it spares their feelings. It spares me some time. So that's a very, white lie scenario where I think it's okay.
Is there a way to tell the truth without doing the Band-Aid ripoff? Can you tell the truth in those kinds of scenarios without it being so harsh?
Yeah.
That depends.
Yeah.
I sure would. I'm this might be my problem. It's my filter breaks sometimes, and I have to be, mind you, I try to deliver it in a nice way, but maybe the shorts aren't working with the whole getup, or something like that, or there's just something off. I don't know what it is. Maybe this, that, or the other thing. But
I would go to, that outfit, blah, 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 blah. That one is really stunning on you. I'm not sure what I like about that one. And this one doesn't do the same justice to you.
I would just say, your
Makes
butt
you look fat.
Fat in that. I can see your cellulite.
You would never.
I can see your
You would never.
cellulite.
You're lying.
You look way better on that skinny chick.
I wish I had you guys when I was growing up.
Every horrible thing that could possibly be said.
Well, is omitting information lying?
A lie of omission.
Well, even if you're telling the truth, like you're saying with this outfit sort of dilemma, you're omitting your true feelings or you're omitting pieces of information, and maybe you're not giving the whole picture on what you think that outfit is, or I guess for anything.
So whose benefit would that be? If I just said,
like a white lie.
You look like shit. Change that outfit.
I would like it personally.
The benefit of it'd be for the benefit of society at large, so that I don't have to subject other people to your fashion faux pas.
Oh goodness. Honestly, though, who am I to say? Honestly, truthfully, well, mind you, there's a difference. Ask me a specific question. Everybody's got a different taste in fashion, but it makes. I think this is a very.
Should I wear fishnets on the live? How about that?
No,
Yes.
you won't look professional. Well, we won't see it. It's gonna be on your pants. It's gonna be on the
No,
bottom.
only
on your
fishnet.
face.
There you
No,
go.
no, no. So
We're
you
all-
so Brooke just didn't lie to me at all.
No, I didn't.
Again, it doesn't work when it's me because you guys can just be mean to me, and that's
Exactly.
sort of-
So exactly.
So lies of omission are real though. Like that's a thing, but I think the big difference between like leaving something out or not giving a detail that's harmful is that when we're lying, a lie of omission is told in order to foster or create like a deliberate misconception. Like so that's something we leave it out in order for whoever we're speaking to
someone to come to a false conclusion.
come to a false
Yeah.
conclusion.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly.
So-
Gossip's
that's
really
different
big about that one, right?
It's not like there's like big accident. You know, it's done with a deliberate intention, and the deliberate intention is to deceive. Where
So that's interesting because that doesn't mean that you just don't lie. That also means that you almost have an obligation to tell the truth or to not let people come to wrong conclusions if you know something otherwise.
But in our reading, there was a really great point that was brought up, right? That was a deliberate misleading on purpose for another motive. They brought up, Germany and how some people were in the process of helping Jewish people survive, right?
You're referring to Nazi Germany, not
Mhm.
Germany now.
Yeah.
Just
Back in the
make that clear.
1940s-ish, right? So, yeah, so there was a really big reason. There was a really alignment with truth telling, and yet it was for I guess the word is altruistic
to protect,
concept.
protect human life.
Yeah.
So, have you guys ever met? I mean, I don't think anybody now that I know could even argue this point. But do you guys know people who believe lying is wrong and is always wrong? You should never lie.
Yeah, we tell our kids that all the time. Don't you lie to
That's a
me.
good point. That's a lie too. That's a lie that you're telling them is to never tell a
Lying's
lie.
never good. You get in bigger trouble if you lie.
Truthfully, because I'm somebody there were times in my life where I felt because of my professional situation, because of things going on in my life, it was easier to lie. And this is when I was younger. And I found out though that like lies beget lies, begets lies, beget lies, beget lies, beget, and it becomes a like chain, like a and I reached a point that I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, and I don't want to ever do that again. I don't want to have to do that. I never want to be in a situation where if I can help it, right? Like if barring human life, barring these extreme situations, everyday situations, I don't feel like I should have to lie. And I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to lie. I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable. It's something in me that, because of having been on the receiving end of people who were manipulators and liars, and having been somebody who's told lies, I've reached a point where it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I don't, and it became very important to me, and still is, that I am a truth teller, that but I don't think we have to tell it in ways that are harmful. I don't think, you know what I mean? There's a way to do it. And I think most people are going to not put you in a situation, I would hope, that you have to lie to them, or that you know what I mean? I feel like when you surround yourself by other people who are honest and real and got their S together, right? It alleviates a necessity for lying. I know.
Sometimes I can think of a time when I would lie. Like if Anthony was like, "Hey, Jen, I want you to come watch me play this game. I'm in a gamer tournament," and I was like, I don't have time, or I have something to do. I wouldn't just flat out say I don't want to do that, like, because I wouldn't want to, so
I would though. I would be like, it's really not my thing. Like, I don't like to do that.
You guys don't want to do what I should do my thing?
I would just be, that's how I am. And I would just be like, because it is about me. It's like, I'm not making it about you and what you're doing. I'm saying it's just not something I really enjoy doing, I guess.
This is also why I don't invite people to do things ever, because I don't want
but here's I can think of a lot of situations though where we're talking about personal stuff, but it's different when we're in a coach's seat, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
There's a lot of things that are different when we're in a coach's seat. So when we're talking about interpersonal relationships, that's one thing, but when we're in a coach's seat, I think this question becomes more murky.
Like, in what way do you mean in a coach's seat when we're part of
I'm coaching? Yeah.
How about, I was talking to ChatGPT. It is never okay to lie. Ooh, Keith, I wanted to go down that path a little bit because
Okay.
I don't know what your moral compass is, if this is something religious or something like a moral standard, but I was talking about people who believe it's never okay to lie. One of the reasons why people don't think it's okay to lie is because it undermines other people's capacity to make rational choices. It takes away other people's freedom
And it can be
to act
patronizing.
morally.
Yeah.
And for religious reasons, I mean, I grew up, Christian as a kid, just taught that lying was a sin, and i.e., if you commit sins and don't repent, you go to hell. So therefore, lying
Is
earns you a
that
ticket to hell.
Is that a commandment? Is that a thing?
No, I mean, bearing false witness was a command, but like lying in general was taught at least in the church that I went to, was a sin. So
Okay.
try to not do that, or at least come to Jesus. Things like that. A lot of religions have different views, and a lot of Christians have different views on it. But there's some people who say it's never okay to lie, and I respect.
Yeah, there's a philosophical. There's a whole philosophical.
Yes, Immanuel Kant does not believe in lying. Anyways.
I think honest. I agree with Keith in many ways. Honesty does often really work out as the best policy.
Mhm.
There is, I will say, blinking kind of red flag there though, because what you'll also find is that people who are sociopathic or manipulative will hide behind truth telling and disguise truth telling as a way to essentially weaponize the truth. So we all follow specific social rules and standards. We're social beings, and so we were just sharing in a situation where we go, how do I look in this? Well, we're going to be honest, but we're going to be honest in a way that probably isn't hurtful, I would hope. But somebody who is a manipulator or is deliberately trying to get an upper hand in a situation will often be too honest and do it over and over, and they'll say, oh, I'm just honest, I'm just this, I'm just that. But what they do is they disregard their actions, the way they approach a situation and how it affects others, and they lose that empathy for the other people, and they hide behind being a truth teller when it can be really actually can be damaging and harmful and cruel. So it'd be like if I, how do I look in this? And they were like, your butt looks fat. I can see your cellulite, and you should really take it off and never put that on again. That is a cruel way of being honest. It can be done in a way to make me feel small, right? And to do, well, I'm just being honest. I'm just an honest person, and they'll be very insulting and just call it honesty, but it's not always necessary. So it's a weird fine line to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this weird space. So I agree. Being honest is always the best policy. It's simpler. It keeps things simple. You don't forget what happened when you just tell the truth, right?
To bring this into coaching, I was able to come up with the help of ChatGPT with an interesting sort of dilemma that a coach might find himself if they're like a sponsor working in a organization, and they might have to lie or lie of omission. So imagine you're a life coach and one of your clients, John, is working towards a promotion at work. Over time, you've helped him develop better communication and leadership skills, or he's done it to himself. And he has recently told you with much excitement that he's applying for a significant promotion at his workplace. However, through a different client who works at the same organization but in a different department, you've become aware that the company is planning a major restructuring and the department John is aiming to be promoted into might face serious cutbacks or even closure. This is a very delicate and controversial situation. On the one hand, divulging the information to John might save him from a potentially harmful situation. However, revealing this information to John would be a breach of the other client's confidentiality. Besides, the information is still technically rumor or even hearsay, and you could be spreading fear and misinformation if the restructuring does not happen.
I know for a fact that the coach is not. I mean, he's bound by the contract that they're under
Mhm.
if there's confidentiality not to say anything.
Mhm.
I don't think that means that is that.
Well, I think the core of this is your client is working. Let's just make it even simpler. Your client is working towards a goal that you know yourself that he can't achieve. Let's just say that you know for certain.
How can we know
I'm just saying hypothetically. Maybe you were told this specifically by his boss or something else.
we can't? That is that's assumption. We can't do. We're making big old assumptions there.
What I'm saying is to restructure this is to go on, Lisa.
Anything is possible. Even the boss who said there is no freaking way. If that boss sees the change of whatever needs to change, that can open up for the possibilities. So I don't have a clue on what's possible.
Let's say the boss has told you verbatim, just like, this is outside of like what's possible for me. Like, the company's restructuring. This department's not going to exist.
We don't know what changed. So that's not, I mean, we couldn't, it's against everything in my coaching, and my skin is crawling. Because one, we cannot assume of any outcome, right? We also don't know what's going to happen and how our client is going to, what steps he's going to take, and how each of those steps is going to affect a change in that client's life and affect a change in that client's decision, in that client's path. We have no clue if at the end of working at all of this, that client might decide it's not a goal they want. We have no clue if by doing all of this, it's going to affect the change in a way that's going to take them somewhere else completely, because we don't know the future. So we might have a knowledge from this client, but we should treat that like don't have that knowledge. Like it's a completely separate situation, because the truth of the matter is we might know what a plan is in the future, but truthfully, we don't know what that future is for our specific client that's working in this other situation, because it can change, it can move, it can take a left, it can take a right, it can go a number of different ways through the work.
And we're also going to challenge them. What if this doesn't work out? What if your boss completely says the opposite, right? In the process of
just hypothetically insert the truth in there. What if your boss?
No, not insert the truth.
Thinking about closing that department.
It's about looking at the perspective from all different angles. If we change the angle on how we're looking at this, what if Steve the boss says, no way, this is not happening? How will that impact you? What if Steve the boss says, yes, you're going this way, and it's not something you find out you really want to do? You know, so the possibilities of looking under the rock and around the rock and above the rock, and help that client come to all different kinds of perspectives, allows for the client to be prepared for whatever and the what ifs as best
I know we're talking from the perspective of a coach, but from the perspective of maybe this hypothetical person's client, what if they see it as lying? It's like, you knew my boss said this and you chose not to tell me this.
How do they know that we knew that?
Let's say after the fact. Let's just say a few sessions in, they find out.
How do they know that we knew that? I'm never going to divulge that confidential information from one client to the other.
I know what I would say.
Let's say, I mean, I'm trying to create a situation where this is the case, or let's say maybe his boss told him, oh yeah, I told Brooke Adair Walters so-and-so like weeks ago that this wasn't going to happen.
Okay, well, is that client outright asking me, do you know this? Or are they going to close my department? I've been working with you on what you wanted to work on. I've let you lead this session. I have been with you every step of the way. We have explored, we have gone, you have been the leader and been in charge of these sessions. I am not bringing information into these sessions. That's clear in our coaching contract.
Well, and simply saying, you're right. I was not at liberty with our contract to share that detail with you.
But
so in essence, maybe the contract for coaches and the confidentiality that comes with that, it goes beyond truth and lying, essentially. Like, you are held to a different standard where if you're not at liberty to share something, defer to the contract, and maybe hash out with the sponsor and the client what can and cannot be shared.
And that's very clear. And that's obviously something, that's something we've said whenever we talk about sponsored and sponsee situations. I have another example though, if you allow. So we as coaches will are allowed to essentially give stories, give examples, or I was working with a client, or X and X happened. There's been situations in the past where we brought this up, and what we will do is fine tune a detail, like fine tune in order to protect the confidentiality. But it's essentially a metaphor or a simile or a similar situation,
or a work of fiction.
It's a work of fiction. And we could say that a work of fiction, we're not telling the whole story, right? We're telling a portion of that. And is that in fact lying?
No. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think it depends, because it's kind of like when a movie where it's like, this story is based on true events, like that. When they put that there, that like, okay, like there's going to be elements that aren't going to be the actual case, but there's good reasons for it, and I can maintain this sort of what is it called when you're maintaining like the fiction in your mind when you're watching a movie? I can't remember what it's called, but anyways,
suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of disbelief. You can maintain the suspension of disbelief. You can pretend it's true, but that elements have changed. It's probably lying if you don't say that, but you change the details anyways. So, like, if I said my client John Smith was working on a goal of his to stop cheating on his wife, it's lying. This is not the case, but people might raise an eyebrow and say, "Aren't you breaking this person's confidentiality?" And then I have to explain, okay, I was changing things and making things up to protect it. So maybe if you do that, advertise that you're sort of stretching the truth beforehand, so people don't think that you're just, spreading rumors or lies.
Ladies, stop it. Come back into the discussion.
I know. I was about to say something as well.
We've lost you, and we need your input. Okay. Again, can you think of any other times when perhaps as a coach we might not be able to give a full picture?
In the coaching seat, or like as a coach in general?
In the coaching seat.
Perhaps when somebody asks there's a very easy ways where you don't have to lie to achieve this, but if somebody asks you a direct opinion on, like, what do you think of my goal? Or what do you think of X, Y, and Z? You might have an actual opinion that you're not going to give, and you will redirect instead. That could be one example.
What would you do in this situation?
If they ask my opinion, I'd ask them why my opinion is relevant to them.
What makes my opinion of your goal relevant to your goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I would just reflect, like, what do you think of this? If they haven't already expressed that, I would ask them, well, what do you think? How do you
Well,
feel?
and another option is, and I have used, it doesn't, I haven't lived your life. I haven't walked in your shoes. I haven't done what you've done. I don't know what you know. There's no way I can make a decision for you on whether or not this is good or not, even based on who I am. Let's talk about this. Let's discover what you think and where you want to go and what applies, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to go down that exploratory highway to find out what their true attachment, because that's what we're looking to see, is what their attachment to, let's just call it a story, the story is, and see what they want to do about it, where they're flexible, and what other opportunities arise from that.
Also, so there's a word that came up in this as we were sharing, and that word is validation. And one of the things we discuss when we share validation is that validation is not agreeing with. It is not saying it's right or wrong. It is not a number of things. It's essentially us listening and validating that what our client is feeling or doing, giving them a space where they can feel heard and seen. But there are moments when our not so coachy brains are setting off red alerts or setting off, these things are going off where, my client is going to run screaming off a cliff. And I am doing everything I can inside me to be curious about that, ask questions, and help them have that goal. One of the things we talk about is what is one of the shortest basketball players that ever existed, the pitcher that only had one arm, and how the whole way they're being told by people they can't do it for a number of reasons. And the bigger picture would say, this goal is not possible. And I know somewhere inside our coach brain, our human brain, we go, oh man, is this person going to be able to do this? Am I coaching this person to an impossible goal? Sort of like what Anthony had mentioned, we might have these alarms going off. And is it a lie? Are we lying to our clients when we don't bring those things up? We're trained to suppress.
I wouldn't say suppress, because I have trained myself to not think from my perspective, but take what the client is saying. If for some reason my perspective comes up, I'm going to jot it down to get it outside of me so I don't have to ruminate about that. But I've practiced enough to where I have the capability of asking the client from their perspective on the things that they've shared. I'm trying to think of an example. At the moment it's escaping me, but I will see if I can come up with one where it wasn't my nature, but it was up to the client's nature. I guess that would be several different clients, right? So the client's nature was not mine, and I noticed it. I'm trying to keep it as generic as possible.
You can lie, make it more specific.
So I've just said now his nature was not my nature, and the relationship that they were working on, I recognized certain traits in the relationship that I saw the patterns. It's not the patterns that they wanted to talk about or were interested even opening up at this point. It was just the beginning of our coaching sessions. And so my first go-to was, ooh, I don't like that. So again, I already mentioned this was earlier in my career. As I mentioned, what I did, I was like, well, this is not what they're here for. This is not what they're sharing. It's not my business. This is my judging what they're experiencing. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Is it a self-fulfilled lie? Or is it a space where I am recognizing that it's not my, I guess, stuff to bring up?
That's a really good point. Is it a lie when you identify that it's your judgment or your your stuff that's coming up that's causing you to have this response to it. Yeah.
And is it? I don't think it is.
No.
I think it's none of my business at that point until the client says, this is what I want to work on. Or the other point could be is they keep saying something that relates to my noticing. But again, that was early in my career. So it's hard to say, you know, would I do the same thing today? It probably would be a little bit different today. But let's just say it keeps coming up. Something keeps coming up and it relates to what my instinct and intuition worked with. I might go, you know, I'm wondering, I noticed this and I'm wondering if this plays a part in that, but not with the judgment that I got it right and I think this is all bad. Not from that perspective. If that makes any sense.
I mean, part of the core competencies of coaching is like sharing your insights and observations as a coach. It doesn't say you have to share every observation and every insight you have. You can be selective with the ones that are best or most appropriate for the situation. So you can choose to ignore certain insights that you might have that you feel as the coach are not appropriate to what it is you're talking about or what the client thinks is appropriate either.
So I have another example, and this example is a little less about what we do in the coaching situation and more about. So I'm a coach. I am been a coach for a while, but my personal life at the moment, I've got a lot of crappy things going on. I'm scattered. Things are just not, you know, for whatever reason. Let's say there is some kind of something that's I'm going through a divorce. But my coaching is separate from that, and I'm having a particular day where my personal life is exploding. I am speeding to work. I get pulled over. I get a ticket, and I am going to be 15 minutes late for my session with my client.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
Say be transparent with your. I mean, things happen, right?
Do I tell I've got a speeding ticket? Do I tell my client? Like, what do I tell my client?
I mean, you just let them know you're going to be 15 minutes late.
Yeah, you don't tell them your personal life.
I thought so. This could lead to other things though. When like you come in, you do your greetings and stuff like that, and the client asks, "Oh, how have you been?"
Yeah, that's a good point.
You could just lie and say, "Oh, I've been good," and then put your feelings and the bad day at the door and hold space for them.
Yeah.
That's a
Many
good
people
point.
lie all the time about how they're feeling.
Well, because if you are coming to the call as a coach with your own stuff, that when the client asks, "How are you?" that's not an invitation for you to unload. That's their time.
Oh, and you just lay down on the couch. I've been fucking
And it's a
horrible.
social norm for a client to ask, and that's just why I brought this up. So, what we do in that moment?
So here's the thing where I didn't do that. I wasn't feeling good all day. I let my clients know in case I run out of here, I got to run to the bathroom. That's personal information. But
I think that's fair. That's 100. Like as a client, I think that. But I think as me, the coach coming in, I'm got a divorce. My life. I feel like my life is falling apart. That's I think not something I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just say I'm doing good. But this isn't about me. This is about you. How are you?
Yeah.
Even that statement right there is just like.
Right. With a
one of the articles you wrote about is those micro expressions, right? So micro expression, they might pick something up.
And that might bring.
And then feel like you're lying to them. And then like Keith was saying earlier, it's if you're gonna lie to me, I don't want to interact with you. So what's a place where you're coming from truth, but not interfering with the coaching session?
You know what? I've had some rapport with clients where I've been able to say, just a little stressed at the moment, but I'm here now. We're letting that go. This is about you. Let's bring it into this space, and I'm excited to be here and to make this about you today.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've got some stuff going on, but I am focused and here and I'm ready. I mean, yeah, just letting them know.
Brooke, your example of you coming in, your life is falling apart and a mess. It's taking a step sort of back out of the coaching space into a space of like lying and truth telling that I think a lot of people are going to encounter and see and maybe want to also do is their self-presentation and how they market themselves and how they present themselves to the world as a coach. So what about like presenting an image of success when I'm marketing myself? I am a successful, high-powered, earning coach. I have a lot of clients. I have a lot of success. People see great results with me, and none of that's true. I'm miserable. I'm struggling. I'm failing.
This is like I don't want us to take this too far because we're walking a fine line right now.
Yeah.
Because I think that there are absolutely people that come into this and they go, I'm not perfect. I don't know that I'm unless I'm perfect, I don't know if I can coach other people. And I'm going to tell those people, you don't have to be perfect to coach other people. You can have things go on. I can be somebody that's successful together, and then we have blips. Things happen in life. It gets difficult. We have sticky times. We have hard times. That's true across the board. It's not always peaches and kittens and puppies for everybody 24/7. So it would be unfair for us to hold ourselves to a standard that is not realistic to life.
True.
And it shouldn't keep you from coaching. It shouldn't keep you from doing that. It
shouldn't keep you. But does that mean that you should lie, or is it beneficial to lie about that?
Well, it can't.
But it doesn't need to even infiltrate a session. That's the piece.
No. I'm stepping out of the session into like sort of the marketing space.
Just to marketing. No, I don't.
I
think
see.
we lying in our marketing. I don't feel.
True, but I see a lot of people in this sort of self-help space. It doesn't have to be life coaches, but people who write self-help books, who are motivational speakers, things like that. Coaches included, who promote this image of themselves as highly successful people.
8 figures salary, blah blah blah.
Why?
They don't even haven't done it themselves.
Yeah, but my question is, why do they do that? And my suspicion is projecting an image of success.
Are you going to let us talk, or are you just going to give us the answers? Sorry. No, but I agree. You're projecting an image of success so that they can then hopefully get that in return. But the problem is we have also got a lot of BS detectors, don't we? Like going on.
The problem, if you only project an image of success, you might only attract clients who want that very specific definition of success and expect you to be able to like spoon feed them on how to get there.
And you're gonna have to come through quick, The other, or not, or you just scam them. Which I was kidding. Or there's a number, but there's there is a whole faction, and this is why sometimes life coaching gets a bad rap too, and that's that I go in to be a coach to learn how to coach, and then I end up coaching other coaches on how to coach, and then so it feels like a pyramid scheme kind of thing, and it's not at all something we promote or subscribe to, and I think that it puts an icky taste in people's mouths because they're like, wait, did you get in this to help people, or did you just get in this so that you could look to the person you're right and you know what I mean, and take this easy route out kind of thing, and it's like, if you do this and take this and then you'll get it, and then it becomes this pyramid scheme, and I'm opposed to that, and it's a lot of, I think, there's a lot of little misleading things that go on in that, and that is lying, right? That is them saying, well, I built a business, but I built it in a way that isn't 100% transparent. And that's not saying that like everybody, you have to like put your account information on the internet.
I think what you're talking about is just a fine line of being your authentic self and presenting yourself authentically and being your higher self versus the lie. And it's around that lie that doesn't sit well.
And I think people see through it. I mean, at least well, and some may not, and they're going to attract that person. So to each their own. If you're going to go out there and lie, you're going to attract somebody, and it's probably going to do some. The one of the things we listened to for this was there was a gentleman that subscribed to a service. It was called Angel Something, and they were lonely men who received letters from fictional women. But those letters did a great deal of good in these men's lives, right? They were being told a lie. And some of them to the degree that even when it came out as a lie, they still wanted to be lied to. They missed it. They were lonely because it fulfilled a need for that person. And so you're going to put yourself out there, and we might say we don't have that need. Our need is filled. But even that liar, and this might be controversial as I say this, but I believe it to be true, is going to attract a client that needs something from them, most likely. And they're going to probably get something, unless that person's really scamming them hardcore. If you're offering a service, at some point that service has to be offered, right? And you're going to attract like people attract like clients.
I still think if you are, let's just say the authentic versus the inauthentic, if you're that authentic self, I think even with a person who, and I had self-professed liars come into my coaching, but they didn't tell me that till they found the acceptance of what coaching provided them. So I think authentic nature of who we here are, outweighs the inauthentic possibility, if that makes sense.
And I also think too that again, I just want to say, like, we don't have to be perfect, right? And we also don't have to share our whole selves with our client. Like, we don't
really share really anything,
right? Like, we should. Like, that's a boundary thing, and I can see how somebody who feels the need to be honest and open about everything. You have to learn, though, to set boundaries. Okay, I'm open and honest, but certain people only get full access to certain parts of my life, right? Like, I'm not going to take my clients with me to the bathroom. Lisa might tell us that she actually has to run, right? But we're not going to go in there with her, and we shouldn't, because there's a boundary.
That's that's something that, I mean, it's part of actually your job as a life coach, is to omit certain things, because if you get into that interpersonal relationship with the client, it can create friction in your sessions. It's something that, I know in class we tell all of our students that if you do have a coach-client relationship, you shouldn't be having an interpersonal relationship outside of these sessions. It creates problems for that session. There are things that you guys now know about each other that really make it difficult for your job as a coach, and can make it difficult for your client to share their experiences with you.
Agreed. We have to. I think that painting a big black and white, and this is where we come back to, is we can't paint with black and white brushes when the world is full of color. And there's going to be different shades and different situations. And I don't think it's always 100%. We don't have to, I mean, there's a nuance there, right? And it might be for my own personal boundary. I might not be comfortable saying, like Lisa is, I'm not feeling well, I might have to run to the restroom, right? So I might say it a different way, right? I might paint it with a little bit of a different brush, and it doesn't mean that I'm lying. It means that I'm setting a boundary for myself, and that I'm also doing it in a way that allows for this to remain a professional relationship, for this and without having to delve into a bunch of details that really aren't relevant in this space. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And sometimes I almost wonder, is it right to even consider certain things a lie when it's just maybe saying something a little more delicately or gently, softening our language rather than that immediate type of, first thought that comes up, the softening of that. Is that a lie? I don't think it is.
I think it's a critical social construct, and I think that most people who are sociologists and who are exist in a culture that wants people to get along without a great deal of friction would tell you that is probably the better thing to do than to just be bluntly honest,
right,
24/7. And that if you are bluntly honest 24/7, there might be a problem there because you're lacking empathy. You're lacking empathy.
Yeah, the bluntness to it, who does that serve? And that's my question. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm just going to give it to you like it is. And I think I think you guys know me as someone who does share with you and does tell you basically what it is. But I think, and maybe it's my mistake, but I think I'm not blunt. I think I give you what's going on, but I also take in consideration how I'm sharing with you.
Yeah, agree. And it's something I've so in when I teach Pilates, I've had to train myself too. And I think even as facilitators, they would agree. I have learned if somebody begins a presentation with, I didn't prepare as well for this as I planned, and I'm sorry, we have created an impression for everybody, right? So when I'm teaching something and I go, oh, I left that move out, I should have done that. I didn't have to say that. I did not, and the client would have known had I not, right? And you guys never would have known had I not. Yes. And sometimes it's better to just keep those things inside, rather than set that stage. This morning I ran out the door because we had a little bit of a scramble, and I got there and I was like, I forgot to brush my teeth, and I said it in front of clients and everything, and the owner of the studio looked at me and was like, you did not have to tell us that. And I was like, my filter is broken, I'm sorry. But it's true, I don't why do I and it's one of the, or like when we say I'm sorry unnecessarily, we don't have to do that, and sometimes it can create an unnecessary impression. We might be better served just to have.
Well, there's not enough communication is what's going on there. There's just a limited amount of communication, and it didn't serve anybody to say that, basically, is what.
It did not serve anybody for me to tell them I did not brush my teeth today.
You do not have to draw attention to that fact.
Yeah, it served me because I looked in the mirror and I was like, my teeth are wearing sweaters. And I just spoke out loud. And I was like, well, I'd rather just it's one of those things, like if you fall in your butt, you'd rather make fun of yourself first before anybody notices. And I think that's what my brain does, is like, I would rather self-deprecate before anybody gets the chance to notice or say something or think something. And I think
guys, they're just sitting there looking at us like,
mechanism. Like, my cat is biting my finger.
I've never heard that one before. My teeth are wearing sweaters. That's
and I don't want anybody to notice, so I'm just going to say it out loud before and acknowledge what's going on. And that's really a defensive mechanism, truthfully. So, but not necessary, and probably nobody would have done it.
So when somebody says those kinds of things about themselves, you're asking for the granting of grace, the word I would choose. Yeah.
Yes.
So if, as a coach, you show up to your coaching call disheveled and just not put together at all, should you just coach, or should you say, I didn't have a chance, I was running late? I mean, what do you guys think?
I think they don't care. If you're a good coach, they're coming in for their coaching, not how you're.
And that's making it about, I mean, it makes it about me, right? It doesn't. My insecurity, I'm insecure right now, so I'm going to, and there's part of me that goes, I might still say something. Yeah, I look like a crazy one, but let's do it. Right?
If you were going into an office space where they're, lawyered up in the sense of suit and ties and dressed to the nines and you came in that way, you know.
I had a lawyer client once that I swear to God, he fired me because he fired me. I swear to God, he paid me. We just ended our relationship and didn't continue. And I was grateful because he was like the most judgmental human being on the planet. And I swear to God, he fired me because I was wearing Lee press on nails one day and one had come off and he was like looking at them and like judgy, like just judgy. And our relationship ended shortly thereafter.
Was this a marketing client?
I didn't watch you anyways because I felt awkward and uncomfortable in that office every single time I walked in there, and I'm so glad I'm not your marketing client anymore. Like,
Look, this was a marketing client, right?
It was a marketing client.
Wow, and he was concerned. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, it was like he's in the top of this building here, and like it's just like he's wearing like the 3-piece suit my wife spent $20,000 on these 2 chairs, and like that just like human being it was, and so I'm glad he's not.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated walking in there. I just hated everything about it because I just felt not good enough. Not even that though. I still was confident, kept my head up, but he was just like an icky human being. And the kind of law he practiced was icky too. And so like everything about it made my skin crawl. It was all like,
Bringing this back to our topic, what do we feel like is a continuation of when is it okay to lie? And that, yeah.
By the way, I was lying by, happily working for him because I did not like it. But at the time, honestly, if I'm going to be 100%, this was at the time I was just starting a marketing business. I was taking any client I could get. And I was willing to tolerate that and keep my mouth shut because I wanted to pay my rent and I wanted to get there was a while I was scraping by, just starting, and I needed that money. So I was willing to tolerate. I wasn't allowed to be picky about clients then. So I was grateful when it was over and I had another client lined up and everything. But at the time I needed to be there. That for me, I needed for the success of my business to be there. And I lied about, essentially my comfort working there.
So Brooke, what would you have done if you didn't need him as a client during that time? What would you have done different?
I just wouldn't have accepted him as a client. I would have said, thank you, I'm not accepting clients right now. 100%. And even if I had gotten to that point, there's been other situations where I have let clients go. There's several marketing clients have I let go. Anthony and Jerome can attest to this. I'm good with letting people go when it's time to let them go. And there's also been times where I have charged, and I'm going to just be blunt here, an asshole tax, where I knew that this client was difficult. And so they are going to get charged $150 more per session than somebody else. They're going to get charged X amount more because for me to tolerate the things I need to tolerate, I need to be paid more money. And it's surprising that they're willing to put up with it. Like they're surprised, they know I'm charging more than, but there have been times where I was shocked that they were like, okay, I'll pay more. I'm going to pay more. And, and I would raise the fees and they'd be willing to pay more. And at the time that was enough for me. Like, okay, I'm going to charge you more because you're hard to deal with, but that's what I need to do to get through this. So, but those days are gone, thank goodness. But that's true even today though. My time is very valuable now. And so if I am in a situation where I'm going to accept a client for something, I'm probably going to charge more than I need to get by, right? I'm going to charge a large sum of money because my time is very valuable and precious, and my free time is even more valuable and precious. So if I'm going to add stuff to that, I'm going to really value my time as probably higher than what I need just to get ends to meet. It's a value that means more than that. And to a client, that might feel
I want to know what Anthony's thinking.
Oh well, we're at time right now.
I don't
So,
know.
I mean, final thoughts, everyone.
Yeah, final thoughts. We're at our time, aren't we?
Yes.
Is it okay to lie as a coach?
I would say no.
Let's answer our question. When is it okay to lie as a coach?
I'd say we have to uphold a contract, but it is never okay to lie to our clients ever. I would say that there have in life experiences of horrific things that have happened, that lies need to happen in order to support someone's existence. I do not think that's a normal daily activity to subscribe to.
I would say don't get honesty or dishonesty and boundaries confused.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
So know what your boundaries are, set clear boundaries with your clients. You have to adhere to those boundaries and know what they are as best you can before you even go into that room. And in doing so, you should be able to maintain an honest relationship. I think that we might start to feel the need to lie when our boundaries are being pushed, or things of that nature. But in a perfect world, we shouldn't have to lie. But if there is a white little lie that comes out, don't beat yourself up for it for life, or right? That's dangerous to say, but why weren't you here? Maybe I don't want to say I got a speeding ticket. Maybe I just say I got held up. And here I am now, and that's what's important. And that's what I mean. Really, truthfully, I put it to that way. I'm here now. That's what's important. But it's not about me. This is about you. I'm here now. So it's none of your business. Thank you. And that's true as a client coach.
And I tell you all my secrets.
Right. But that's when we start to get into those client. There are times, but what would you do? Tell me. Well, what are you doing? Why don't you share? I want to know more about you. Blah blah blah. But I think that's why establishing our boundaries up front is important. I have rigid boundaries. This isn't about me. I might have some flexible boundaries, be willing to chat with you a little bit, tell you, and that's going to be different from coach to coach. So
yeah, so from coach to coach, I don't even think I can answer that question. Is it okay to lie? Because I can only speak for me. I can't speak for anybody else. And for me, sometimes, it is okay to lie. And for me, sometimes it's not okay to lie. And I will reflect on that, and I will learn and grow from that. But that's all. I can't speak for any other coach but myself.
Yeah, I love that, Jen. Brooke, you mentioned in a perfect world, nobody would lie. Well, thing is, it isn't a perfect world, so there's a ton of reasons as to why someone might lie. It's not always an apparent, act of deception that, is the reason for us lying. There's a ton of layers behind when something comes up, and we may not want to speak the whole truth as to why we do it. So kind of like what Lisa was mentioning, don't beat yourself up over it. There's boundaries and things that take place that not prevent us, but give us a reason as to not always give the whole truth.
And we're human. Like, remember, if we're dealing with somebody that's not a sociopath, that's not, lacking empathy and malicious and out to do, if the lie happens, there's probably a lot of things going on that I think even from the client's seat, if we have a client comes in and lie about something, as a coach, we're not going to judge them for that. We're going to get curious around it and maybe ask some questions to figure out more and talk through that and give them a safe place where they can share that I've told a lie.
Yeah. I knew somebody who never lied. I don't think they ever lied, and that was scary. I think having a little bit of truth, it makes you human. So that person scared the heck out of me, and I did not want to be around them.
That's lying built into us. There's a whole psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Reward and anyways. carry on.
That's all I got.
Anthony?
When is it okay to lie? It's always okay to lie until there are consequences. And the more lies you tell, the more likely there's going to be consequences. And the bigger lies you tell, the bigger the consequences. So if you would like to avoid those consequences, tell smaller lies or don't tell lies at all. That's my final thought. All right. This
You
is
really worked that one out, didn't you?
yeah, I was thinking about it the whole time.
That's what you were silent for. How can I be the contrarian here?
This has been CLCI Live, controversial coaching. Do we have one more controversial
Yeah.
topic?
One more, yes.
Yes.
Because yes, we
One
do. Our
more.
next week's controversial topic is as follows. One moment, please. The guru effect.
Oh, good. Love it. That'll be
Guru effect. So we're going to be talking through the guru effect. That's
That'll be fun.
GRU, which we kind of scratched a little bit on today when we talked about big coaches who make big promises and expectations and things like that. So next week will be Controversial Coaching 101. Last week of Controversial Coaching. I love these ones, though. They're fun.
Mhm.
And we'll be discussing the guru effect. So in the meantime, like, subscribe, follow, and check out Certified Life Coach Institute. Boom. Bye.